A very warm welcome to all our KCF members and guests on this lovely Friday evening. I'm sure all of you are preparing and gearing up for Lockdown 4.0, especially given that our last program relating to this had a record viewership of 11,000, and we thank you all for the support and love shown by you. Like our Honorable Prime Minister and Finance Minister, who have been announcing the rupees 20 lakh crore stimulus touching various segments of the economy, we at KCF also wanted to bring in a different perspective for our members and guests, something different which will stimulate them as they prepare for Lockdown 4.0. As you all know, cricket is the national craze, and normally, in a normal circumstance, at this time in May 2020, you would typically be glued to your screens watching the IPL. So we thought, given the pandemic, why not invite a cricket personality to come chat with us in a freewheeling chat? So, without further ado, I'm honored to introduce our speaker for the evening, Mr. Jatin Paranjape. Jatin has been a professional cricketer from 1992 till 2001, representing Mumbai in the Ranji Trophy. He has played 62 first-class matches and scored nearly 4,000 first-class runs for Mumbai. Also, coincidentally, he's also a product from Don Bosco School in Matunga. Jatin joined Nike in 2006 as sports marketing lead for cricket, and then moved on to the European football segment as sports marketing manager, where he managed the Western, Central, and Eastern Europe territories. He was responsible for Nike football marketing, product retail, and athlete signature line deliverables, including the famous CR7 or Cristiano Ronaldo 7 signature line, and also the World Cup 2014 campaign. He has personally managed more than 25 Tier 1 footballers for all marketing appearances and product trialing efforts like Cristiano Ronaldo, Iniesta, Rooney, Neymar, and many others. After that, he was sports marketing head and cricket category GM for Nike India and responsible for all renewal efforts with BCCI and All India Football Federation. He was responsible for the cricket category business globally, including the licensing and merchandising business around the BCCI and Nike partnership, along with product creation, merchandising, finance, marketing operations, retail marketing, and account management. Currently, Mr. Paranjape is a national selector for BCCI and also a founder of Khelo More, which is India's largest ecosystem for sports. So over to you, Nitin, and thank you so much for taking time out for us.
Yep. Thanks, Karan. Thanks for the introduction. And at the at the very outset, let me say thank you to Nitin Bhai for having me over. It was a pleasant surprise to find Philip here as well. Philip and I are schoolmates, so it's always good to see an ex-Boscoite. And so I've basically going to take everybody through a little bit of a chronology of my career, of my experiences for about 15 to 20 minutes, starting from my cricketing days over to the business side of things. And after that, I think we have a few questions from the group, which I will take. So happy to do that as well. So just to start off, I'm pretty much a Matunga boy. I used to go to school. My schooling was at Don Bosco, and then I went on to Poddar College to graduate from Poddar College. I started playing cricket in probably the fifth or sixth standard, if I'm not mistaken. Nowadays, you have kids who start much younger, but at that time, I started from the fifth or sixth standard. Cricket was always the dominant kind of theme in our house because my father himself is a coach now, but also an ex-cricketer. My father also played for Bombay. So essentially, essentially, there was a big cricketing atmosphere in the house, and I remember as a 7-8 year old, I used to accompany my father for his club and company matches. There used to be there still is a very big club called Dadar Union, which is based at Matunga Gymkhana ground. It's at the other end of Matunga Gymkhana, near the petrol pump, and that used to be a very very big club. During those times, Mr. Gavaskar used to play for Dada Union. Dilip Vengsarkar is a Dada Union member. Sanjay Manjrekar used to play for Dada Union. So it had a very, very big history in Mumbai cricket. So I would go along with my father to all the matches, and then after a year or two, I was made the official scorer for Dada Union. So as a kid in fifth standard, I used to go with my red pen and pencil and blue pen and black pen, because in cricket scoring, you have to it's annotated as per color, basically. So if there's a wicket, you have to put it into the scorebook with your red ink. If there is a run, you have to put it with your blue ink. If there is a 4 or a 6, you have to put it with your black ink. So I would be very, very prepared. The previous night, I would make sure that the pens are working, pencils are sharpened, and I would go there with my lunch box and my pencil box. And then the bhaiya used to give me the big heavy scorebook, and I would sit and score for the game. I used to be really proud of doing that. And then I started playing cricket. One fine day, we used to play in the quadrangle at Don Bosco. Where the basketball courts are. We used to play there, and this was in the fifth standard, and I was playing there, and suddenly I saw a senior man coming towards me, and I saw from far, and I thought to myself, this is the cricket coach of Don Bosco. So I got really scared. I thought, what have I done? Have I broken a glass somewhere, or have I broken a window pane? I'm sure he's going to come and fire me for something. But he came up to me, and it was a very short conversation. This gentleman was Kumar Tamane, who was Mr. Naren Tamane, who played for India as a wicketkeeper. He was Naren Tamane's brother, Kumar Tamane. And he came up to me, and he just had like one line to say to me. And he said, come for practice at 3:30 tomorrow. And I remember I was being so excited, and I ran all the way home from school. And I told my father that, I've been called for practice. And so my father said, yeah, that's great, but, you don't have any equipment. So I remember I went to India Sports House, and got a bat and, just the basics. I remember my gloves were in a brown paper bag, which had been stapled. And I got home and immediately tried my gloves on, and I was getting ready for practice. So all throughout the day, the next day, I was physically in the classroom, but mentally I was on the practice ground already. And at 3:30, I went in my whites, and I thought, I'll be asked to field for the first few days, because generally the way it used to be was that, when you're invited by a coach to the nets, the first 2 or 3 days you don't get batting or bowling, or you're just basically pasturing out there in the outfield. So as soon as I reached, he said, you pad up. So I said, okay sir, I'll pad up. And I remember wearing such big pads. I was very short. Today I'm almost 6 feet, but my height shot up in 8th, 9th standard. Till then I was absolute, like one pygmy, literally. And those pads were coming right up till my waist, and somehow I wore them and started batting. And then he said, okay, fine, 10 minutes he gave me to bat. Then he asked me to bowl a little bit, and at the end of the practice session, he said, we have a Harris Shield match tomorrow, so you come to the school, and there will be a taxi which goes from the school with the school kit bag. So you come there with the kit bag. So you make sure that the kit bag is brought to the ground at Azad Maidan. So I didn't know where Azad Maidan was. I went back home. I asked my dad, where is the Azad Maidan? He explained it to me. So that was the start of my cricketing journey, actually. From there on, I started playing for Bombay in the under 15 age group. We had a fantastic team. In fact, today Vinod Kamri has put up a picture on Instagram with me, Vinod, and a couple of other friends. So our team was a fantastic team. We had Sachin, who was our captain in under 15, and Vinod Kamli, and all the stalwarts were there. We used to beat everybody hands down. So I started playing for Bombay under 15, under 17. Then I after my 10th standard, I decided that I will join Poddar College, and because Poddar College had a fantastic team, fantastic cricket team. So it was my aspiration to play for Poddar College. And I remember I sat with my parents, and we decided as to, what is going to be the plan of action now. And so it was decided that they asked me, hey, what do you want to do? And I said, look, I want to try and be a professional cricketer. So they said, oh, that's fine with us, but as long as your studies don't suffer, we don't have a problem. So you have to get a degree, and you have to do well in getting that degree. So luckily in 10th standard, I had got good enough marks to get into the mainstream of Poddar College. So I decided that I will take an admission in the mainstream and not in the sports quota, because I didn't want to deny somebody in the sports quota a seat. So that's how I started, and things went on from there. I remember the big tournament, the big selection base for the Ranji Trophy team is corporate cricket in Bombay, which is the Time Shield. And I was very, very keen on playing for Sungrace Mafatlal. So Sungrace Mafatlal, Tata's, Air India, Mahindra and Mahindra, BPCL, Indian Oil, these were the big teams, Nirlon, these were the big teams in Time Shield. So I was very keen on playing for Sungrace Mafatlal, because I was on by that time, Sungrace Mafatlal had adopted me as a cricketer. So they would pay for all my cricket kit and everything like that. So I thought that my allegiance is towards them. So I went and offered my services to them, saying, now, I think I'm good enough to play Time Shield cricket. So, if you are interested in me, I'm willing to come and play for you. So I thought I was being really, really nice, and really smart in doing all this. And I thought that they will welcome me with open arms. But basically, they told me that our team is really strong. I don't think you're going to get into our team. So thank you, but no thank you. So I said, okay, fine, that's okay. So I came back home, and I remember it was August or September, and the Time Shield starts in October. So I was very keen that I wanted to play Time Shield. I didn't want to waste that season. And suddenly I got a call from Tata Sports Club, Mr. Milind Rege, who was the Tata Sports Club secretary at that time, ex-Mumbai captain, today chairman of the Mumbai Ranji Trophy Selection Committee, really well thought of, very respected man. He said, Jatin, there's a spot for you. And if you're interested, Tatas would like to have you. So I said, sir, I'm flattered, but if you give me number 3 position to bat, I will come. And I didn't realize what I said. I just blurted it out, and because I didn't even know. It didn't occur to me at that time that Tata's was also such a strong team. The team basically was Lalchand Rajput, Shishir Ratangdi, Dilip Vengsarkar, Ravi Shastri, Kiran More, Samir Dighe, Milind Gunjal. It was a very Raju Kulkarni, very strong team. And I realized, what have I said? How can I bat number 3 in this lineup? But surprisingly, he said, no, absolutely. We were going to give you the number 3 position anyway, because number 3 has always been my favorite position. So I was like, okay, thank God. So I started playing for Tata's, and then played for Bombay. Had 3 or 4 really good seasons for India, for Bombay. Then got picked for India. I played only 4 matches for India. Unfortunately, I broke my ankle in my 5th game. I played a match against Kenya, and then 3 or 4 games against Pakistan. Broke my ankle, then couldn't get back into the Mumbai team because I was out for a year after that. I couldn't get back into the Mumbai team. So then decided that, let me also try and build a parallel career. Luckily, I had got a degree in commerce. I'd also studied. I'd also completed my inter examination as a company secretary, because company secretary course was the only course which you could do from a distance learning perspective. And with my cricket career, although I wanted to become a chartered accountant, I didn't have the time for articles, and it would have not allowed me to practice. But I was very clear that I wanted to play cricket. So I did my CS, and then finally started working with a company called Sporting Frontiers. This also happened in a very funny way. Sporting Frontiers is owned by Steve Waugh, the Australian captain, and in my last season for Bombay, before I took a break, we were playing a match which was Bombay versus Australia at CCI in the year 2000, and I think after the game, Steve Waugh and I, we were invited for some dinner or something like that, and we got talking, and Steve said, "Hey, Jatin, I'm now going to be coming back to India pretty often because I'm setting up a sports management company, and so would you like to be part of it?" So I joined Sporting Frontiers. I spent 3 or 4 years with Sporting Frontiers. Sporting Frontiers was a great experience for me. It was a sports management company which was based in Australia. Essentially, they were rights holders for all the advertising at cricket matches. So if you see a international match, you can see all the advertising on the boundary line, the perimeter advertising. So this was what Sporting Frontiers owned all the rights for across all the biggest grounds in India. So Wankhede Stadium, Eden Gardens, Chinnaswamy, Chidambaram, Chipok, all these stadiums were with Sporting Frontiers, and I would go and sell that entire inventory to companies. So I was the sales guy. And at the same time, Sporting Frontiers also used to manage VVS Lakshman and Harbhajan Singh. They were my first two clients. So my ex-teammates, we've all played together. Suddenly they became clients of mine, and I would go and try to get them endorsements and stuff like that. So that's how my career started in sports marketing. And then in 2006, all of a sudden, I got a call from Nike. Nike had just signed a multi-million dollar deal with the BCCI to be the official apparel suppliers and sponsors and merchandisers for the BCCI team for all the Indian teams, including the men and women team. So I joined Nike. Used to look after a function called sports marketing at Nike. So Nike have a very simple way of doing business. Nike today is by far the biggest sports apparel and footwear manufacturer in the world. They have a 35 billion or maybe $37 billion annual turnover. But Nike is a highly profitable company. So for a $37 billion annual turnover, their market cap is about $99 billion. So that just goes to show you how Wall Street rates them. But Nike have remained a very simple company from a business perspective. They have a very simple formula to do business, and that formula is as follows. So they have product plus athlete plus marketing is equal to sales. So they make a great product, they put it on the right players, they put it on the right teams, and they market that entire product and athlete story, and that becomes sales for them. So sports marketing, the reason why I'm trying to explain this to you is sports marketing is the function which identifies players and assets for Nike to sign on. So when I came in, Nike just had one cricketer, which was S. Srishant, only one cricketer in India, and one footballer, which was Bhaichung Bhutia. So my immediate task and objective was to build a good portfolio of players across cricket and football, and also tennis, because that time tennis also was a big focus area for Nike. So Mahesh and Leander were with Nike that time. So I set about trying to identify youngsters in cricket to start off with. Guys who were not big today, but who would not be very big tomorrow, but would be very big day after, hopefully. And at that time, Reebok was the biggest player. They were the elephant in the room in India, and they had everybody right from Mahendra Singh Dhoni to UV, and then Adidas had Sachin, and Reebok had Dravid, and Ganguly was with Puma. The only guys who didn't have any player was Nike, but Nike had the BCCI. So when India played, they had the swoosh, and that was fantastic. So I told my boss that, hey, I'm going to basically tap into my coaches networks across India, and I'm going to start building the right portfolio for Nike. And I'll see you in office in the next 2 months. You're not going to see me in office for 2 months. So you give me a travel budget, and I'm going to go across the length and breadth of the country, and go and have a look at some of the players who are recommended to me by my by the coaches who have who basically I used to play with earlier in life. So my first signing for Nike was in Delhi. There was the India under 19 team which was practicing there. So I went to watch all of them, and this one guy really impressed me, and I thought that, hey, this guy seems to be a good player, for sure. But there seems to be something special about him, because he had a lot of confidence, and he seemed to have a lot of self-belief. He was also a very expressive, outgoing kind of a guy. Nike, likes such guys, who are a little bit edgy, irreverent, anti-establishment. Nike love that. That's where their entire marketing story comes together. So I told the guy that, hey, would you be interested in signing with Nike? And he said, yes, Jatin bhai, aap bolo, main definitely kar lunga. So I said, okay, you come to my room. So I used to basically carry like one big backpack, and I got like 30-40 contracts in that backpack, with only the term of the contract used to be open, which I used to pen write in. The amount used to be open, and the product category used to be open, and the name used to be open. I used to fill that up, and that was the contract. So I signed the guy, and that guy basically is Virat Kohli, because Virat at the age of 16 uh, came to Nike. He was with Nike for 8 years. I don't know if any of you all remember, but he used to play with a Nike bat, because that was one of the ideas which I suggested to Nike, that we have everything, but the bat is like a billboard. It's like a out of home hoarding, during a test match. So why are we not trying to do bats? And Nike said, Nike Global got involved, and all legal team got involved and says, no, we can't do this, blah blah blah. But I kept going back to them. I kept hammering the door, and finally the Nike bats came out. And at one point in time, I think 8 out of 11 Indian 8 out of the Indian starting 11 used to play with a Nike bat. I also signed like 50-60 players in the IPL, because Nike didn't have an IPL team. We had an IPL team for the first year, Deccan Chargers, but we withdrew from that contract because we couldn't see eye to eye with the owners, and so we withdrew from that contract. But the strategy was to sign young cricketers who would play for India in the next 2-3 years, which paid out fantastically well with Virat, and then also signed a lot of younger players who would do really well in the IPL, because then you had the swoosh on the bats in the IPL, and you got exposure during the IPL as well. So that was my sports marketing role at Nike. But sports marketing in Nike is much more than this. It's a very intersectional function in Nike. You, as a sports marketing guy, you need to pass on the athlete insights to the product development teams. So I worked a lot with the footwear teams in the US. Plus, once you sign an athlete, you need to work with your marketing teams as well, to kind of tell them as to what is the right thought behind that athlete, what makes that particular athlete click. And so it's a very intersectional role. So you work with product, you work with marketing, you work with sales, as to when should the jersey launch, what should be the price points, how many variations should there be, how much will you do DTC, how much will you do online, how much will you do multi-brand like Nitin Bhai. So we have to carve out an entire mosaic out of this. And I'll give you an example of how this works. I remember we were sitting as a marketing team. Sports marketing used to be part of the marketing team. We were sitting there in Bombay at the Taj Palace, no, at the Taj President Hotel in Bombay. And this was about 2 months before the World Cup. And we were sitting with all the brand guys, the brand connections people, the advertising guys, our advertising agency, which is Biden and Kennedy. I think JWT at that time was also involved. And and they kept asking me as to, what is this team about? How will you talk about this team? How should we communicate this team to Nike's consumers in India and across the world? So I remember telling them that this Indian team under Dhoni is a very, very different team. This is a very confident team. They know that they know that that they know that they are good enough to beat anybody in the world, and they know that sometimes they might lose a game or two, but that confidence seems to be a constant, as part of this team. And I said that if you ask me, this is a team which doesn't. This is a team which plays fearless cricket. So I remember fearless cricket was the insight which advertising and the advertising agency took away. And then they started building their brief, because in advertising you take an insight and then you build a brief, then you create a campaign on top of that brief. So the campaign fearless cricket uh, was basically bare-chested guys on big outdoor hoardings, Zahir, Rohit, Virat, Mahi, bare-chested, telling the world that Team India is here. And the tagline for that was "Bleed Blue." So now everybody uses "Bleed Blue," but the "Bleed Blue" phrase came from that fearless cricket campaign, essentially. So that's how it's an integrative effort in Nike. And I remember we were at the World Cup final at the Wankhede Stadium. There was a big senior management team from Portland which had come over, really top guys from Nike. And we finished the game. India won. It was a fantastic campaign for Nike. I think we had to replenish our stock in stores about 3 to 4 times. So everything went fantastically well. And at that time, a couple of people from Nike came and said that, hey, Jatin, we are creating a position in Europe football and we'd like you to apply for that position. And a year later, I moved to Amsterdam with my family. We spent 3 years there. This also was an integration position, so I had to work with product teams. Nike was wanting to launch their biggest technology today, which has become par for the course for Nike, but for every brand of footwear, which is called Fly Knit. So basically, the way you knit a shirt, so Nike used the same t-shirt material to build the upper of the shoe, because Nike always wants to be as green a company as possible, and using this material reduces the amount of glue and adhesives you use in the manufacturing process, and because of that the carbon footprint reduces dramatically. So I was put in charge of that Flynet project for football. There were supposed to be 300 odd players for Nike at the World Cup in Brazil in 2014, and my mandate was that all those 300 players have to be in the latest technology. So it was a mad kind of 2-3 years which I spent there. I also used to look after Cristiano Ronaldo's line there called CR7. In fact, Cristiano and I, we are starting a new business in India, and then this lockdown has interfered with everything, but we're going to start a new business in India together. So I would be the Nike guy to take the entire line to him, explain the design fundamentals of the line, explain the detailed strategy, explain the performance points of the product, etc., etc. Also go through the business, the P&L, the P&L, the overall revenue statements, what the outlook is, what the royalty is, etc., etc. So that's how I spent 3 years in Amsterdam. But then always wanted to come back to India to use my learnings and to try and build something for sport in India, because I'm really, really passionate that India, being the youngest country in the world, has a long way to go in terms of organizing this entire ecosystem called sport in India. So basically, I thought that let's try and take a stab at this. So I came back to India in 2015. In Amsterdam, I'd met a couple of friends of mine who used to work for Booking.com, and somehow the aggregation model which Booking.com follows became an area of interest for me. And I thought that if we could use an aggregation model and build a unifying platform in India where consumers for any sport, be it literally from Malkham to athletics to cricket to football to a running event or a gym consumer or a fitness consumer or a yoga consumer. How about if we built a unifying platform which gives them access to supply? So there are coaches you can hire, there are academies you can join, there are running events you can enter, there are turfs which you can book, there are physios which you can hire, sports psychologists, podiatrists, masseurs, all of that. So over the last 3 years, a few friends of mine were kind enough to believe in my idea, and so we raised some money and started working on this business. And Khelomore.com today is a company which we are seeing a reasonable amount of product market fit. Building a tech platform for a non-techie like me. Was a challenge. So I hired a few people to build the platform. Building a platform for whoever of you all have tried to do it, or already computer engineers out there, you will understand how intricate it is. It's also very, very time consuming, extremely costly in terms of investments. So over the last 3 years, we've finally managed to build a B2C platform which works well. But we've also built some B2B proprietary SaaS products which are used by schools, clubs, gymkhanas, sports federations, which allow all of the tasks which were done on paper. So player registration, sending out schedules, notifications, fee collection, all of that is digitized through our B2B software. So essentially we are in the market as a B2C player, but also as a B2B2C player. So pretty much this is where we are today. In the meantime, when I was building Khelomore, the BCCI also asked me if I want to become a selector. So I've been doing that job for the last 3 years. My term ends in September this year, but that's a different experience altogether. Probably the toughest job I've done in my life. But pretty much this is the chronology. This is the journey which I've been on till now. So I think Nitin bhai, we can use this as a segue into a few questions now.
Yes. So fantastic, Jatin. It has been such a nice thing to hear. Wonderful insights about your various experiences. So I am going to start with something which any cricket-loving Indian, right? India is a country of cricket lovers.
Yeah.
We actually, it's like a religion in India. So there is a pain point which I see across everywhere. In the semi-finals of the 2019 World Cup, the top order collapsed to 24 for 4.
Yeah.
Rishabh Pant and Hardik Pandya were settled, having played close to 50 balls, scored 32 each, and then they played aerial shots and actually threw away their wickets. Later on, Dhoni and Jadeja had a 116-run partnership for the 7th wicket, and they almost pulled it off. Now, why is it, and what is the role of the captain or even the coach on the ground? Why did they not tell these young guys to not play a single aerial shot and keep doing what they were doing so good? We could have won the World Cup.
Absolutely, Nitin bhai. I was there at that ground. I was there at that match.
In fact, Jatin, I had sent you a message.
Yes. I remember. And I actually, Nitin bhai, if a worst case scenario is defined by 5 things going wrong, that day I think 7 or 8 things went wrong for us. I remember right at the start when the match moved to the next day, we had to bowl 3.2 or 3.3 overs, and it was absolutely sunny in the morning. And when we finished bowling those overs, we in those 10 minutes there was a complete cloud cover. It was as if it's going to explode into a thunderstorm, and the ball started doing such a lot. But to answer your question, I think there is a fear which sometimes grips players. There is an anxiety factor which sometimes grips players after a lot of dot balls being played. So if you remember, Mitchell Santner bowled 8 overs for 15 runs. And we should have just stepped out and taken one of him. but we kind of froze because we lost so many wickets suddenly, and that pressure led to an explosion from Hardik and Rishabh. Rishabh still a young guy at that time, but to your question, I think sometimes pressure gets the better of everybody. And especially in a knockout game, it should not have happened, but that's cricket, that's sport.
Yeah. So wonderful, Jatin. So you were a stylish left-handed batsman. You started off so well in Toronto, then an injury, and then your career was almost sort of over. So how do you feel about it? There are so many budding cricketers who go through similar experiences.
Yeah, Nitin bhai, I will be honest and say that it was not it was not an easy passage of life for me. Because the worst thing for a athlete is to get injured and to be cooped up at home. And for me, it was a misdiagnosis. At that time, we did not have good physios. So the guy who was traveling with the Indian team was not a qualified physio. So he could not treat me properly. And in those 24 to 48 hours, that treatment is the most important. So there was a misdiagnosis, and it took what should have been 3 months, took me a year to recover. But it was a very tough part of life. But and I would be lying if I said I kind of didn't feel regretful at that time. But I think sport also teaches you to take the good with the bad. You always feel ki yaar, tomorrow is a new day. Tomorrow I will wake up and the sun will shine and the sun will rise again, and we'll make it count. So it was that kind of thing. Plus you have your teammates who help you as well. They're all there for you. So I think it was a few of these factors which helped me pull through.
So do you think you could have done something differently with the kind of talent you had? And of course, one more thing which I remember, you were always a good-looking, handsome cricketer. So I remember, watching you. So there are distractions, other than cricket. How do you handle all those things?
Yeah, I think you've got to answer your earlier question. When you're a professional sportsman, you have a lot of confidence in your own ability, and you feel that if I get the chance, I will मैं कुछ करूँगा. I will be able to prove myself. So I always had that self belief in me. And when you're playing professional cricket, there's so much cricket training all the time, and you have to figure out that what are your priorities, what are you going to say no to. And I think if your priorities are right, you say no to you say no to the things which need to be said no to as well.
So a lot of our viewers want to know which is the best coaching center in Mumbai.
Best coaching center depends. So there is a very good academy in Bandra called Sanjeevani, which is in Bandra West. MIG in Bandra East is good as well. There is, I think, Praveen Amre has opened an academy at Shivaji Park, which is good. There's also a Praveen Amre Center at Parsi Gymkhana. I think CCI now have got a decent academy. Rajasthan Royals have an academy at Bombay Gymkhana. So these are 6-7 of the good academies which are in Bombay.
So one thing which I always feel very strongly about is I have also played cricket, of course not at your level, but the conditions of the grounds. We have played at Madunga Gymkhana, Shivaji Park. They are not at all conducive for safely playing any kind of sport, leave alone cricket. Right? There are ups and downs. There are huge holes where rats are just moving around. Why is it so? Why is it that when there is so much of money in cricket, BCCI is so rich? I think cricketers are making a lot of money. Why is it that nobody is investing back into the grassroots where they started from?
Yeah, I think the simple answer to that is intent. I think there is a little bit of a lack of intent in the custodians of these grounds, because if you look at these grounds, these are split in ownership. BMC owns some, MMRDA has a few grounds, so they don't know what to do with these grounds essentially. So I think it is for somebody to go to them and say, hey, this is what you need to do with this particular piece of land which you have. Like you said, the grounds are so bad. I get scared when I see these kids playing at Maidans, because you can twist your ankle and be out of the game forever.
Yes.
Plus, there are now new problems which have bigger challenges which have come in, because with the metro coming in now, the metro has eaten up part of Cross Maidan and Azad Maidan as well. So now God knows when you will get that land back from the metro. So I think if I have to pinpoint a couple of things, it is intent and it is understanding about what needs to be done. And maybe it is for guys like us, Nitin bhai, to go and literally bang down some doors and say, ki boss, we are not doing it for ourselves. We are doing it for Mumbaikars. We are doing it for the game. Come on, let's do something together. So maybe we should connect on this and try and build a little bit of a lobby and go and tell people,
that is exactly, Jatin, I feel very strongly about that. So many cricketers have come up from those grounds, and it is, I think, time for them to invest back into those grounds and then make sure that other young budding cricketers don't get injured and somebody, the career is ruined, right? Because of such a simple thing. The solution is not at all difficult. For example, if you want to maintain a ground, it is not going to cost you so much. But it's, I think, matter of intent, as you rightly said. So now let us talk about your experience in Europe. Right? You were a marketing director for Nike. You signed some of the top footballers. Cricket, of course, is the biggest game in India, but football is also picking up. That is what we have seen. So what has been your experience and learnings from doing business in Europe?
So first and foremost, the scale of the business, Nitin bhai. The football category for Nike. So Nike's football business in Europe was 1 billion euros a year. So just selling football footwear, apparel, and licensed apparel with clubs was $1 billion business. So I think just the scale was huge. Everything is very, very scientifically done, very process driven. I think the same things are happening in India as well. But the first thing which came to mind was, the quantum of the business is huge. So, for example, today we are seeing the Indian cricket team. They are playing in the same T-shirt. They play in the same T-shirt for a year and a half, maybe 2 years. There in a football team, they have 3 kits every year. So there's a home kit, there's an away kit, and then there's a third kit. So it is. So that's how evolved the business is, and because the game is so evolved, Nitin bhai, the consumer is also very evolved. So, for example, here if you Nitin bhai better than anybody that at Total Sports, a consumer will come and say, "मुझे 4,500 का जूता दो," but there they will come and say, "Give me the specific Nike model, because my foot is overpronating, so I need this shoe, and I don't want the Vomero 7, I want the Vomero 9." And so the consumer knows exactly what they want, and they are prepared to pay for it. So I think the evolution of the market is because the consumers are evolved, and because they want more and more. So I think that's the scale was the biggest.
Scale and maturity. I think consumers need to now go to the next level of maturity and understand what exactly they are buying for. I'll just share one experience.
Correct.
I was in Dortmund watching a live football match for the first time in my life. I'm not a football fan, and I was stunned. 80,000 people in one rectangular stadium, and the kind of merchandise that they had, the kind of hype they created around the game. It was like extraordinary experience which I have never seen even in cricket. Right? When are we going to see such experiences? Because apart from, for example, when we go to watch a match at Wankhede Stadium, we don't have any other thing except watching the match in terms of entertainment, in terms of food and beverage, in terms of music and all that. Why don't we introduce these into cricket so that people not just go for watching a match, but the overall experience of enjoying time with their family and friends? What do you think of this?
You will see stadium retail happening very, very quickly in India now. So if you see, it already happens at the IPL to a certain extent. So now you will see it happening at India matches as well. Nitin bhai, the way you are explaining your Dortmund experience, I was explaining a Dortmund experience. I also want to share one experience. We had gone to Nike had a meeting in Dallas, and we had gone to watch the Dallas Cowboys, play an NFL match. At the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, there were 5 Nike retail stores, 5 at the stadium. and outside, outside the stores, there was a line, like a line at the railway station waiting to pay the bill. So it's at a different level. I think, stadiums are planned better. Here, stadiums have been planned very badly, but increasingly newer stadiums are being planned better now. So, for example, the Pune Stadium at Gahunje, that's a very good stadium. Chinnaswamy has been revamped a little bit. The stadium in Raipur is a very good stadium now. In Ahmedabad, the new stadium has a huge retail area as well. So this entire experience and retail. Now at Wimbledon, for example, Nitin, by the entire merchandising and licensing area at Wimbledon is so huge, and they make 4 times what they make in tickets in the merchandise area, essentially. So I'm again telling you, Nitin, it is for people like us to go and try and drill some sense into people in India.
And now I totally agree with you. I think we need to create experiences for people to have good times watching matches. Right? Yeah. So now suddenly we are in lockdown, and post-COVID there is a huge uncertainty as to when is it then outdoor sports, indoor sports, the clubs and the gymkhanas will open up. And what do you think is the future of sports? Because huge investments have been made by so many companies. And I think people are really worried. What is it?
Nitin bhai, I am not worried for the medium to long term. I'm not worried because sooner or later they will find a vaccine for COVID. The human body with the herd mentality piece, we will become immune to the virus as well over the next 6, 7, 8 months. But the short term, I think it's a complete washout for the next 6 to 7 months at least. Because I see grassroots sports. I think you and I both are focused on grassroots sports and amateur sports because that's where your consumer is as well, right? So I think grassroots sport, the starting of grassroots sport will be linked to the starting of schools, Nitin bhai. So once schools start, then parents will get the confidence to send the children out. Otherwise, they will not get the confidence to send the children out. So I think till then, technology will play a big role in trying to substitute to a certain extent whatever the offline model was. So I think the next 6, 7 months are a washout. But I do not fear from a medium to long-term perspective because I think the consumer will be back. They will be back in a greater strength. And I think good days will follow for the sports business.
So, do you think using technology, we will get into coaching also? Are you doing something on those lines?
Yes. So today, for a month now, we on khelomore.com, we have a program running called Lockdown Mein Khelomore, which is online chess coaching, online cricket coaching, online tennis coaching, football, table tennis, badminton, yoga as well. So these are the 7. We have about 75 coaches across these 7 sports who are catering to the 6 to 12 age group, and over Zoom classes, over Google Classrooms, over videos. We are trying to work with kids on a one-to-one and a one-to-many level so that the improvement doesn't stop. So that's what we are trying to do for the 6 to 12 age group.
Great. So one of the viewers wants to know now data analytics and data science. How much of that is going to be increasingly used to improve the quality of game? It's quite evolved in foreign countries, especially in Europe and a lot of other countries. But it's in India, we don't still see that happening at grassroots level. Yeah. So how do you see that happening now?
So Nitin bhai, I think the data analysis and analytics has been confined to the professional level of sport, essentially, because that's where teams are using it more. But I think the percolation has started already. So if you see in India, there are about 11 to 12 data analytics startups, most of them based in Bangalore, which are sports data analytics only catering to grassroots sports. So simple things like how can a football coach for an under 16 team, say a Don Bosco international team football coach, how can he use a package created for him, which allows players to be tagged, which allows players to see their videos. So that entire percolation is happening. right now, because these platforms, which were only the domain of the professional sportsmen, are now being leased out and licensed out at a cheaper price to smaller teams as well. So even, for example, the turfs which we are working with, so Khelomore today has 73 turfs which are fully bookable in Bombay. So we are going to be having the video service at the turfs as well. So you can record your matches, you can punch in the analytics for a certain fee. So we are trying to democratize that technology down to the grassroots level.
Okay. Amazing. So we have Mr. Pankaj Shah asking, his son is 15. He's a hardcore soccer fan, and his concern is that he's a vegetarian. And now, how does he build his career? And what is it that you will recommend? He's a hardcore Cristiano Ronaldo fan.
So I think there's nothing wrong. You don't need to be eating chicken or mutton to have strength. I think there's a documentary on Netflix. I forget the name right now, but I'll message it to him and you can pass it on to Pankaj. There's a documentary which you must watch. I think the basic ingredient of the diet is protein. And you have plenty of protein in vegetarian food as well. So I would advise Pankaj to probably reach out to me. I can put him in touch with a couple of nutritionists as well to help him on that journey. But long story short, it's absolutely fine if he's vegetarian.
Okay, amazing. So one of the questions which I can see is that you have been able to now build a career based on your passion, right? And I suppose it's a very successful career as of now. Right? A lot of people are not able to do that transition from being in the game and all that. Why is it that you were so successful? Is it because of your communication skills or your good relationship with people? How is it? What is the key to success?
I don't know about the success part of it, but I know one thing, that if you're passionate about something, you don't have to kind of push yourself for it. I think very early in my life, while playing cricket, I came to understand the power of personal relationships, Nitin bhai. It's very, very important to be part of a unit. And playing and growing up in Bombay, as you know, the Bombay school of cricket is very much about the team and not about yourself. So I think that kind of was always ingrained in me at a young age. Plus, Nike was a company which always looked at team as number one. So that helped me a lot. And when you think about the team, you're also able to then focus on something more important than yourself. And I think your communication improves, your respect for others improves, your respect for opponents improves. So I think it's very important. I always feel that if you enter an office, the CEO of that office and the receptionist of that office and the security guard of that office, you should be talking to them with the same respect, and they should be also talking to you with the same comfort. So if you give respect to a person, that person gives you respect back, and that person is comfortable in your company. I think I've always tried to follow that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And you have always been a very humble and nice guy. So yeah, now we have got last 3 questions, and then we come to the end of this program. One is, you have been a selector. Now, being a selector is a tough job, right? How do you identify players? Is there any kind of external recommendations coming to you that please select this player? How do you handle all those things?
No, Nitin bhai, I have never got any call from anybody. I think they know that this guy there's no point in calling him up. Basically, but when I look at a player, I don't only look at the performances. My father always tells me that if selection was only about performances, then the statisticians should have been the chairman of selectors. So selecting, identifying a player is a lot about seeing the player from various angles. I'll give you an example. When I go and watch any Ranji Trophy cricket, I will be, say, if I'm going to watch a particular batsman, right, an opening batsman, who has scored a lot of runs, and people are talking about him, and I want to go and watch him. When I go and watch him, I'm not going there to the ground to watch him live just to see him bat. I am going there to see him field, I'm going there. If he's got out early and his competitor on the other side is scoring runs, what is his body language in the dressing room? How is he with the rest of the team? How is he at training? How is he in the field? What is the overall cultural element in it? I normally walk around the ground a lot. If he's fielding at the boundary line and if he's not the captain, suddenly I will ask him that, hey Rahul, what would you do in this position if you were captain? So if he gives me an immediate reply, then I know that he's in the game.
Yeah,
if he doesn't give me a reply, I know he's not in the game. So these are the small indicators which I use in identification.
So now, because of this lockdown, people are now have become tech savvy and all that. So now esports is suddenly, people, I have seen that the amount of revenue that you get from gaming, it is much higher than Bollywood. Right?
Yeah.
So what is the future of e-gaming or esports?
I think there are two parts of esports. One is the entire multiplayer online business, which is doing fantastically well. And I think that will keep on growing. I'm not a big fan of esports at all. So that's one part. The second is that during the lockdown, if you look at these platforms in the US, which allow you to play multiplayer games, they are seeing madness in terms of their values, in terms of their volumes. So, for example, Microsoft, which has Microsoft, which has the highest and the most advanced data storage cloud computing network, we crashed with the volumes.
Yes.
So families are using these games to spend time together and enjoy as a family. So that's another piece which the lockdown has thrown up as an opportunity for esports platforms. That mothers, fathers, children are coming together and playing simple games which are easy to understand and spending time together as a family. So as opposed to going for a movie, they have that same experience sitting at home and playing that multiplayer game together.
So do you think this passive enthusiasm of sitting at home and playing will get converted into people going on the grounds and playing actually post-lockdown?
Yes, absolutely. Because at least in India, I feel that there is a hardcore amateur sports person in India. And that number will keep on growing as the supply grows, because that number is big today in Bombay or in Bangalore or in Delhi. But in the smaller cities, because you don't have so many turfs and this, that, and the other, that number is small. But once you start having more supply in the smaller cities, that number will grow. I don't think anything will replace going out and playing, provided you provide the right experience there. To your point, the experience needs to be better. And why are these guys playing sport at home? Because the supply is not there, and whatever supply is there, the experience is not there.
And now, just on a lighter note, can you share some anecdotes, a couple of anecdotes which you think are funny and which viewers would love to listen to? About players like Virat Kohli. We have seen Virat Kohli being so animated, so aggressive, right? And then there are players like Sachin who are like, or even Dhoni, who doesn't express at all. So you have seen a vast range of players coming out with so many high emotions.
No, there are. All these guys are characters. What you see in front is something else, but what you see in private is something else. For example, Sachin is one of the funniest guys. He is. I tell him all the time that you're not only the greatest batsman of all time, but your ability for one-liners is just fantastic.
Jatin, I will interrupt here. That is Hindu colony culture. Other Hindu colony culture, I've got so many Maharashtrian friends that these one-liners, they can just, make you fall off your chairs.
Absolutely. Same with Virat. Even Mahi is a really funny guy, very, very low profile. I remember an incident during the World Cup. And Mahi is a very naturally intelligent guy, very naturally intelligent. And he knows how to handle people. And Mohammad Shami is a highly volatile, highly moody kind of character. You cannot put an arm around his shoulder and say, "Come on, yaar, Shami, thoda dal tu." He doesn't. Till you don't give him galis, he will not react only. So Mahi knows how to press those buttons. Because Shami has a huge ego. Like any top sportsman, you have pride in your own performance. So your ego is always high. So I remember one incident during the World Cup. The game had just finished, and the selectors go into the dressing room after that just to have a cup of tea and have a chat with the players. And Mahi was sitting there in a corner, and obviously he was not captain. Virat was captain, and Shami's nickname in the team is Lala.
Lala.
So he was shouting. He was telling Virat, who was at the other end, because Shami had bowled badly in that game. He was telling Virat ki, "Chiku यार, ये लाला का तो हो गया काम. ये तू अभी लाला से पेस वेस एक्सपेक्ट मत करना. ये इसके बस की बात नहीं. ये बुढ़ा हो गया." But it really pissed Shami off, and nobody said anything because everybody knew what was happening. That Dhoni is setting him up for the next game, and 2 days later he bowled faster than anybody in both the teams, and he took a hat trick in that game. So he knows how to push these buttons. So these funny incidents, anecdotes keep on happening.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jatin. I think this has been one of the most candid talks I have heard from somebody of your stature. Otherwise, we would never have been able to know all these things. Of course, we will meet again and then have a longer chat on this. Thank you so much for coming, and I will now ask Karan to take over and proceed further. Yeah. Thank you very much, Jatin.
Thank you.
Once again.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jatin, so much. Frankly, I should admit that I had stopped being a cricket fan some years ago, but I was completely engrossed with the way you spoke, I think, and all the insights and all the stories that you shared. So thank you so much for your time. I think the amount of questions, we couldn't obviously address all the questions. So if people need to contact you, please do share your coordinates.
Yeah, Nitin bhai has all my coordinates, so happy to share. Happy to have them shared by him.
So thank you so much, and thanks all for your time, and hope we see India back on the grounds in 7 months' time.
We will.
And thanks, Nitin bhai, for being the convener today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just for our viewers, just to remind them that our membership is free and open for the period May 2020 to December 2020. Please do sign up and please be tuned in for much more programs that we planned in the forthcoming weeks. Thank you so much.